Alright, well, I've got the engine done for the Sears Suburban here. I've got the header installed. Alright, just kidding. The tractor is on, it's not on hold, it's just slowed way down. It's just the drudgery of just putting primer on and cleaning parts. Just knocking them off the list one at a time. So I think I'll be picking up the paint maybe tomorrow. And but I've still got to have it in a good batch of paint or pieces primed and ready to go, you know, before I mix up a batch of color. So I don't know if I'll do the fenders first or maybe get some practice on some of the other pieces. But anyway, this is an L26 off of my 1974 Datsun 260Z. That poor car, if you've seen it in some of the background of some of the shots, there's my tractor junk table. And that poor car is buried behind all that junk. And I just got too small of a space to work with, but I'm glad to have it. And space, that is, and the car. That car is under restoration. It's been so for a number of years. I think probably I took on this tractor project because A, we needed a garden tractor around here with some oomph to it. And I just felt like getting my a little bit more experience working on something that's not as important as that car. So I think that's working out. But anyway, I thought while the tractor was coming along a little bit slower, I'd do a quick video on this engine. So we'll pull the cover off here and have a look at it. Alright, well, we'll look at the boring side first. On these little Datsun straight sixes, all the equipment and everything is loaded up on one side. I don't know how that happened or why. I mean, if you're looking at here, all we got is spark plugs and an oil filter. Now, I will say when it comes time to change either one of those two items, no problem at all. You just, you know, you're there, it's done. So that'll be a great difference between that and, say, my Toyota 4Runner, which requires gymnastics and yoga to get to both the spark plugs and the oil filter. So anyway, this is a nice engine. I did not do the initial work on it. This block was, I believe it was dipped, stripped down, and repainted back to the original factory Datsun blue. Bought this car from a friend of mine. He just, I guess, ran out of patience trying to restore it, so I really picked up a sweet deal. I'll go into that later. Probably do some videos on the car at some point, but if you're here to see Suburban tractor, I apologize, but like I said, we're going to take a quick little side tour here, see what else we got going on, projects around the shop here. Like I said, nice little engine. He was going all out on this thing. A lot of chrome. These are original pieces, but he had them chromed, and I've picked up on some of that stuff and, you know, and continue what he was doing, but just down to stuff like this, little chrome spark plug caps that cover up the, you know, the bulb. It just dresses it up, little gasket on it, and polished out water pump faces and water hose fittings have been chromed. Below here is a powder coated oil pan. It's in fact the original oil pan that came with it, but been powder coated. Now, one thing that's not looking good right now is the oil pump sitting there. It's pretty grungy, and I'm not sure, you know, what I'm going to do with that, but at least it's in place for the moment. Let's spin this thing around and get to the interesting side. Much more responsible for, because none of this was done when I bought it. That is a sea of parts, polish, chrome, anodizing. Oh man, just, I can see right here looking through the frame, it's just a mess. Organized, coordinated mess, but man, there's just stuff everywhere. That is, that was a lot of work, and luckily, when I bought this thing, these are SU carburetors. These were in pieces in little Ziploc bags. Luckily, they were named and kept in a kind of a sensical order, put in the right bags and things like that, and categorized pretty good. But to get them back together, you know, I've never seen one before, never built one. So I had bought off of eBay at one point. I'm not sure why now. I'm glad I did. Maybe I got it cheap, but it was a complete setup just like this. Completely, you know, dirty, corroded out, as this thing was at one time, but it was complete and it was assembled. I just bought it and they had just pulled it off the engine as a whole unit. So I had a complete working model just to go piece by piece and build this thing from the ground up. So I think I've got it right. You know, I'll never know until I start to fire this thing up and tune on it, but I think we got it right. So those were pretty fun to build actually, but all the aluminum on them polished out, really really sharp looking. That's going to look great underneath that hood. I'm going to polish out the valve cover cap. Right now it's just in its dull gray finish. All this at one time, you know, looked like that, and that's sharp looking. I've seen some people paint these. You really can't powder coat this kind of aluminum. It doesn't work out too well, but polishing, they look really slick, so I'm planning on doing that. Like I said, polishing chrome everywhere, back inside here, fan belt pulleys, whatnot. Even the little tang for the timing has been chrome polished. That's the front cover that covers up the timing chain, polished. Powder coated engine mounts, and then that behind there is a aerospace ceramic coated header. So that pretty expensive piece just on its own. That came with my purchase as well. What I did buy were these, bought a stud kit for these. These engines are notorious for this long manifold to cool heat, and the end studs eventually crack. The studs break, and then you've got, you know, you all know what that means. So I replaced those with the type of a stud that is guaranteed not to do that. So I think I'm set there. I'm just slowly building this car and putting it together, and trying to get it right. But got a distributor from the newer Z. I'm not going to bore you with a whole lot of more Datsun freak only details, because I just wanted to really just show you the engine. But I'm looking forward to getting this thing in the car and hearing it run. I need to fire it up at least once with just the header, just, you know, to impress my neighbors and freak them out. I'm sure they'll love it. But let's see here. That's probably about it on this engine. Like I said, really looking forward to hearing it run and dropping it in that car. I'm gonna have to have the car painted and finished out before I put the engine in. So I got a little waiting period, but the engine is mostly done. That is just kind of a quick overview of that. When we get the maybe later this summer, I'll be able to wheel the car itself and do a quick little video on it. It's a nice car in itself. It's got, for whatever reason, it was broken down for restoration at only 33,000 miles. So when this engine was taken apart and we looked down into the cylinders, all it really needed was a hone, and only did that just because we were in there anyway. So really barely even broken in. So I think it's going to be an outstanding little Z car when it's done. But just another one of my side projects, and looking forward to getting back on this. Probably the next thing back in line after the little tractor's done, and move on to that. So I'll be making videos on that. I don't know if any of you Sears garden tractor fans will come along. I hope you do, because I think it'll be a fun series, and hopefully get that kicked off maybe here in another couple of months. We'll start a series on that car. So, alright, well that's it, and thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and it's been a lot of fun. So we'll see you next time.